to Momentum in Real Estate, your guide to success in the dynamic world of real estate. I'm Corey Wall.
And I'm Kristen James. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned pro, we're here to help you reach new heights.
Success in real estate comes from learning, growing, and serving others.
Join us as we dive into strategies for lead generation, marketing, market trends, and client relationships.
Get ready to ignite your momentum and achieve your goals in real estate.
Let's dive in and unlock your full potential.
This is Momentum in Real Estate.
We are so excited to have our friend Kirsten Paris with us today. And so I'm going to introduce her to y'all. So meet Kirsten Paris, an amazing real estate agent who has built a productive business in a new market where she had no sphere or personal network. With a background in flipping homes during college and honing her sales skills in medical sales, Kirsten offers exceptional negotiation expertise to the Western North Carolina market. Based in Hendersonville, North Carolina, with her husband and 2 kiddos, Kirsten is committed to making the buying or selling process for her clients as smooth and successful as possible, while at the same time soaking up each season of life with her young family. When she's not closing deals, she enjoys exploring local lakes, gardening, and DIY home renovations with her husband. Welcome to the podcast, Kirsten.
Thank you. What a wonderful intro. Thank you so much.
We're so excited today, especially because Kirsten is one of our good friends who is constantly in our coaching calls, and we just grow together, which I absolutely love it. So Kirsten, yes, thank you so much for being here. So in your own words, can you share with us your real estate story?
Yeah, it's funny. I think like so many people, when I got into real estate, I had in my mind's eye, like, I'm going to do real estate because of X, and it's completely different. So as Kristen mentioned, I came from a world of clinical medicine, and then I was working in medical sales while I got my real estate license. I got my real estate license actually in South Carolina. I was physically in South Carolina getting my North Carolina real estate license mid-COVID pandemic, and I had a 4-month-old baby on my bed with me while my husband was doing night shifts and I was doing online real estate classes. We knew we were going to move to North Carolina. My medical sales job was transferring. I had the option to transfer to a new market in North Carolina, which is the Asheville area. And we knew we wanted to come up here. We had my brother and sister-in-law were up here. My mom and my stepdad were up here. We loved it up here. We've been vacationing up here since we were kids. So I said, great, I'm going to get my real estate license in North Carolina because we want to get more actively involved again in flipping homes. And so I'm just going to get my real estate license for myself. That's like, here I am. The only house I've bought for myself is my personal home. I haven't yet flipped a house, and I've done 65 deals for other people. So not exactly what I initially envisioned, but super grateful for where I am.
That's awesome. So give our audience a little flavor of your brokerage experience. Have you been with one brokerage for your whole career? Have you made some moves? Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's interesting because it feels like I've been with one brokerage because I've been with the same group of people, but truly I've been with 2. So I interviewed with brokerages from Zoom, from South Carolina, and I fell in love with a local broker in charge. And at the time, she had her franchise with Exit Realty. So I came on at Exit Realty at first. And you could have told me their splits were like 20-80, 20 for me, 80 for the firm. I wouldn't have cared. I just liked this broker in charge so much. And then she eventually switched her whole brokerage over to eXp Realty, in which was a phenomenal thing for my business at the time. I didn't really care. I was like, whatever, I'm still with the same group of people. So I didn't really realize what I had my hands on. So technically 2 different brokerages, same group of people, which I'm super fortunate for.
That's so great. What's like your favorite thing about the switch that happened? What inspires you to stick around with the brokerage?
Yeah. So at the time I was so kind of new. I didn't really realize like what was important in a brokerage. I just knew that I liked the people that I was with. Honestly, like I didn't really understand cap. I wasn't really productive enough to have a cap or I didn't think I was productive enough to have a cap. I guess I capped, but I didn't really know what that meant. I didn't know the power of that. I was just like working. And so I think for me, the best thing about the switch was because the brokerage did so much educating us on the switch, like it really forced me to learn what I had in front of me. And then subsequently I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like I have so many things at my fingertips. And I think for me, the biggest thing was like, now I'm building Kirsten's business and I'm not just a real estate agent working for Exit Realty. I am Kirsten's real estate business. And what do I want that to look like that is supported by EXP Realty? So it was a big shift.
Beautifully said.
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
awesome. I know that one of the themes I really want to dive into with you and for our audience is how you got started building your business. I mentioned in your introduction, you were brand new to the area. You didn't know anyone, you didn't have relationships. And I know because I have a relationship with you, like I know what your business looks like today. And I think it would be really valuable to have you share kind of how you launched, what those like early, that first year or two, what did that look like for you as you were building your business?
Yeah, it was a lot. I mean, I did not know. I mean, we've all been taught like your sphere of influence is your low-hanging fruit. I did not really learn how to nurture a sphere, and probably not because it wasn't offered for me. I just didn't do it. So that was probably a Kirsten issue more than anybody else. But so what I did, I was under the impression like my sphere that was in other states, like I can't really utilize that, which now I know better. But anyways, so what I did here, I knew all of 5 people, including my at the time 10-month-old when we moved to Asheville. So yeah, like he just cost me money. He was not like giving me leads. So I relied very heavily on OpCity leads initially. And for people who don't know what OpCity is, like it's an affiliate of realtor.com. You can do like the paid realtor.com leads up front, or you can do these leads where they send them to your phone. And if you close them, you pay for them at closing. So I did a ton of those my first year. I'm talking like any little thing that came through on my phone, any little alert, $17,000 land deal, I took them and I closed them. And so I got really good at converting those OpCity leads. Now, mind you, too, this is year 2021. So like the market is crazy. So I do respect that it is more challenging to start your business right now with OpCity than it was then. So I just kind of came into it at the right time and just really hit the ground running. So I would say most of my leads at the time, my first year, I closed 25 deals. I think 97% of those were all OpCity. And so from there, I've really just grown my sphere from there personally too, because we've immersed ourselves into the community. And then I've also turned those OpCity clients into my sphere as well.
Yeah, and something I know from you is you definitely continue to get referrals from those OpCity leads, and it just kind of spreads. So your spider web per se is just spread, which is so awesome. Something else that I know about you, Kirsten, is just you are so good at running your own race. I know that's taken work and has taken effort, but I know that when you're with the kids, you're focused with your kids. When you're needing to build your business, you're building your business. When you know that you have to slow down because your husband has a career change, you figure that out. So kind of walk us through, how would you, maybe even what would the words be to yourself, your 3-4 year ago self, about you running your own race right now?
That like gives me chill bumps to even think about. That was a really hard pill to swallow, and I still work on it every day. It's like a blessing and also a challenge when you surround yourself with very highly productive people, which we do. I'm surrounded by you two beautiful women that are highly productive, other people in our coaching group that are highly productive. And so I think just human nature is that we find ourselves comparing ourselves to others sometimes. And it's like the biggest waste of time. Don't do it. But it's so much easier said than done. And so that was very challenging for me. It's like we've chosen the lifestyle that we have, which is like we try to be as present with our kids as possible. We try not to put them in too much childcare. We try to have that. And that's our choice. And people who don't, that's great. So that was a choice that we made. But then at the same time, I also wanted and expected of myself to have this $10 million business. And that would have required me to put in 60 hours a week. It just wasn't realistic. So what I would tell myself from 3 years ago is, Kirsten, first of all, rate what is most important to you. And for me, what is most important to me at this time is spending the most time with my children. And then secondly is like growing my business. And so I really had to, and if it's flopped for some families, that is totally okay too. Like I just embrace what you want and that's okay. And so then okay, be very clear on that. So get clear on that. I got clear on that. And then like, what can you expect because of that? Like, you can't expect this colossal business because you're putting in 15 or 20 hours a week. That's unrealistic. So once I gave myself permission to quote only produce X amount, it felt so much better. And I did better. I did more production when I stopped like beating myself up about it. And I just started measuring success differently. Success is I got to make enough money while still putting my children first that we got to go on a couple great vacations, for the year.
Okay.
So my success, so that's what I tell myself. Rate your priorities, be realistic about them, and then set realistic expectations for those priorities and stop beating yourself up over it.
So good, set. It's so well said. I feel like I need to play that on repeat.
So do I.
That's amazing. And yeah, such good counsel for an agent who's brand new and just getting started, and for somebody who's been in the industry for a while. There's such good kind of wisdom there. So I love that. So kind of talk about what your business looks like today. And obviously, something like lead generation kind of never goes away.
Yeah.
Even if it looks different than it did when you started and you gave us the origin. So talk about like, what do leads look like for you today, and how are you continuing to kind of build momentum in your business?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I am super blessed. So for somebody who really gets a D- in nurturing their sphere, my sphere does a really good job of taking care of me recently. Like, and I just encourage people, like, when you are starting out, it's like, it is a grind. Like, you are creating those leads. You are working for every single one of them, and every single one counts. But there becomes this shift. It feels like, I don't know, for me, it started happening around like year 3. It took 3 years where I finally felt like I got this momentum from my past business and from my sphere, from like just putting myself into this community, that I finally started getting substantial referrals from past clients, family of clients, people in our community, family. And so now my business looks really, really sphere heavy from referrals. And what I am doing to keep that momentum is a work in progress. It is like shifting my mindset of like not chasing these cold leads and like nurturing those in the sphere that I have. So it has been more focus on nurturing that sphere through planning client event parties and just reaching out to past clients more, offering help to them like in whatever way, and continuing to grow momentum with them while also still accepting some of those online leads. I still do take those Opcity online leads. I'm grateful for the opportunity to add somebody else to my sphere of influence.
Oh, you are muted, Miss Corey.
Thank you. My kid was about to come into the door, so I was like, nope, that is so good. So with your sphere, do you have other pillars of your leads that you're getting right now?
No, I don't. So I do sphere and Opcity right now are really the two main ones. And it comes back to like, how many hours do I have in a day? And I would really like to add in a third one. So like where my business is going, I've got some plans for adding in a third sphere that I'm a pillar for lead, which will be largely delegating to somebody that I need to pay to do it. So there is a goal to bring on a third pillar. Just right now, I haven't managed the capacity to manage more than the 2 that I've currently got going.
Yeah.
That's great. And with Opcity, what's the biggest piece of advice you have for somebody that is going after that type of cold lead?
Yeah, you've just got to have a good process and don't be afraid to dump the ones that aren't worth it. And when you do so many of them, I think I looked back, I think I've taken probably 250 phone calls from them. Woo! So you get really good at learning like very quickly, this person is worth my time. And I hate to say that this person is not worth my time. That's not at all what I mean, but like, what level of effort are they worth right now? So just be very clear on that. Don't be super legalistic, because you just got to be able to go with the flow, but just have a script ready, get to the point. You got to be direct with these people, and then don't be afraid to move on if you feel like they're going to be a waste of time, because there's other ones out there.
I wonder if you can speak to, just along that same vein, I think there's probably some agents that might have some fear in working with cold leads. These are people that they don't know from Adam and they want to go look at a piece of vacant land, or, how did you kind of put like some protections in place just for like personal safety? Were there any sort of guardrails that you had as you engaged with those leads to just kind of make sure that they were like a real person, and B, like worth some time and energy?
Totally. And I think it's so important to like put your physical safety first and foremost when you're working with anybody that you don't know. And so, yeah. And so you just get really good at listening to your gut. Like when you're having some conversations with people, if something feels off, just pump the brakes and move on. Like you're going to get 10 more phone calls tomorrow. Not that many, actually. But, anyways, and then I would try to meet people in person prior to going to a property, but in a public place. So it would be a great place to go do your buyer consultation at a coffee shop or wherever. And then even then, the first couple times I met somebody, and I got a ton of vacant land leads initially through Upcity because those were the lowest valued ones. So as a newbie, that's what I got. But I would take somebody with me to those vacant land listings. My dog, my husband, somebody else, a friend locally, just even somebody to sit in the car. But I think it is very important to keep yourself safe before anything else. And again, don't be afraid to listen to your gut. There are tools out there too, like through our MLS, you have access to forewarn. So I would have people text me a picture of their driver's license and I would put their information into forewarn. So that's like gives you some preliminary information too, but it's not foolproof. So still do those other things as well.
That's awesome. Something that I feel like we skimmed over in the beginning that I think is really important to bring back is the fact that you said in the beginning, creating a new sphere and getting into a new market, you took everything. And I think that drive is something that folks, when they get their license, are like, oh, or moving markets too. Oh, it'll just start to happen. And no, it takes hard work and dedication. Can you speak to what does that mean to you? Taking you get $100 commission. Like, what was the driving force, or do you have that in mind? What was the motivation there?
Yeah, I love that point because it is one of those things I hear newer agents or agents that want more business. They set these like very strict standards. I won't work with anybody unless their price point is $500,000. Where I have a very different mindset about that. Obviously, like I'm still to this day working my tail off for a single wide mobile home that's $85,000 and at 3% commission, and I'm paying Opcity 30%. Who's doing the math? It's not great. So, but I'm still so abundantly grateful for those leads because that client, for example, he has already referred me to two people. He wants to buy a commercial building. And so I've gotten to refer him out for a commercial deal. And it just like kind of fills my feel good tank too. Money is wonderful. And I think those of the people that know me, I love money. It's my love language. But also it makes me feel good helping these people too when there's not a lot of people that would help them. And just, I really encourage other people, don't turn your nose up at those opportunities. I still take those opportunities because you don't know who they know. You don't know who they're going to refer you to. They will be your biggest cheerleaders because you worked your tail off to make $250.
So good. I mean, those principles are like gold, especially for, newer agents who are just beginning to get their business off the ground. And obviously, like you said earlier, you had the benefit of a really hot market when you got started, and same for myself and for Corey. But nevertheless, I think there's some principles in there that have allowed all of us to continue to be successful, even as the overall climate in the market has shifted. We've got much higher interest rates than we did when we started. And so I think just to underscore those really foundational principles of grind and hard work and grit, and I mean, you name it, and just, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So be smart, make intelligent choices, but don't begrudge the $15,000 land deal because you're waiting for the $600,000 house to come along. So
totally. And I think you learn so much from those deals too. Like I mean, I learned something new in every single deal. So it's a learning opportunity. And even if you have to think of it as like, this was a good opportunity, I might have made $250, but what the knowledge that I gained is invaluable. And I can take that and apply that to all of my future clients.
Absolutely. We mentioned that you have a young family, you've got kids that are not in school full time. And so your life is pretty full right now. And so I wonder if you can sort of speak to perhaps other moms in our audience who are trying to juggle the parenting small children and running a successful business, and just talk about kind of, what does maybe a week in the life of Kirsten Paris look like, and speak to like some of the sacrifices that you feel like you are making in this season, whether that's personal sacrifices or business sacrifices that are just allowing you to kind of, as you said earlier, invest where your priorities are and really just in this season make those choices.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. Every day is a work in progress. I think what a day in the life looks like for us, or a week looks like for us, is chaos. And it's okay. And it's like, I have to tell my husband this because he's like, he just gets so overstimulated. And I'm like, that's just our life right now is chaos. So learn to embrace it. And so it's just embracing that chaos. I think for somebody who's trying to juggle both, and I think, again, just figure out very clearly like what your priorities are. If you want to grow your business first and foremost now, and then hopefully in a couple of years be able to back off a little bit, totally fine. If you want to focus family first right now and kind of put your business on the back burner, also totally fine. I think, sorry, Kristen, I just like totally got lost there. What was a follow-up question, like a week? Oh, sorry, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I digress. Go ahead, Kristen.
Well, I was going to have you kind of speak to like the sacrifices, like what are some things that you've had to sacrifice, either like socially or in your business, or just whatever feels like applicable to you?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think, and this is not necessarily the right answer for everybody else, because it's, again, we're kind of working on this, but yeah, of course, sacrifices. There's 24 hours in the day. And so I think for me, I put my kids first and foremost, and then my business comes shortly thereafter. So where there are sacrifices made, unfortunately, is probably spending time with my spouse. And that's not a great thing. Like we're working on that. And then time for myself too is another sacrifice. And I don't want to say that like not building this mega bajillion dollar business is a sacrifice, because it's not. Like the bigger win is that I get to spend more time with my kids right now for me. But yeah, I think sacrifice wise is like, I would love to have some more time for just me and my husband. And then for me too, personally. But what I have to remind myself is like, my business is going to look different in a year, is going to look different in 2 years. It's just this season of life. Like before I know it, my kids will be in school full time, and I'll have probably way more time on my hands, and I can do all the self-care in the gym that I want. But for right now, those are probably the two things that don't get as much attention as they should.
I think it's such an honest and just real way of that you're approaching your life and your business right now. And I think there's sort of in any industry that like perhaps as a mom or even as a woman that you can do everything, and it's just not the case. And so you're a perfect example of someone who has, like you said earlier, you've made choices. You kind of drew the line in the sand and said, these are our priorities as a family. And then you've sort of constructed your business around that. And so I just kudos to you, because I think that takes obviously a lot of hard work, a lot of dealing with chaos, and trying to keep calm and peace and in the midst of all of that, which I know is really hard to do.
Yeah, I feel like Kirsten and I could get on a huge we could go on for an hour about this and being moms, but I always look up to Kirsten because she something that she's not saying is her husband works second shift. So she'll wake up early and he'll take the kids, and then she's working her butt off until he has to go to work. And then when he has to go to work, she is grabbing those kids, and they are her main focus. So Kirsten, talk to us, like, what are the things that you do in those instances? Are you removing your phone from you? Are you putting on do not disturb? Are you prioritizing your day a little bit better? Or are you structuring your day differently? Like, I know as a mom myself, it is a struggle for real. So would love to hear more.
Yeah, so totally. And I think for me, it is very easy for me to get distracted or feel like I need to do something immediately if it's brought to my attention. So like I got rid of my Apple Watch because I'd be getting these stinking like email alerts and I'm like outside, like my kids are God knows doing what, rolling down a hill. I'm like, oh, well, they need the response about this survey. I'm like, this is terrible. Like this is so distracting. So, yep, I have gotten rid of my Apple Watch. I put my phone on do not disturb from 2 p.m. on, and I am just totally with my kids and focused on them. Now, that is not to say if I'm in the middle of negotiating a deal, I am not going to ignore that process. Obviously, in those situations, I'll have my phone on me and I'm responsive because I still need to serve my clients at the highest level. But if there is not something urgently going on, and really, if you think about your business, how often is it truly something that needs you to respond within the next 3 hours? Not often, like truly not that often. So I will put it on do not disturb. And then once the kids go down for bed for the night, so about 7:30, 7:45, I'll check my phone again. And I will absolutely respond to everybody at that time so they don't think that I'm ignoring them. Got your request. I'll send it over to you right now. I'll get it to you first thing in the morning. Thanks for thinking of me. Whatever. So like I'm still pinging people back. But do not disturb is my best friend. And then on days when I am working a deal, which I'm so grateful for doing it, I just have to be realistic. Like I can't, that's not the day that I'm going to go and start a new activity with the kids outside. That's a day that we're just going to have a movie afternoon and I just need to be okay with it.
Mm-hmm. And something I know about you too is like you've got some family in town now that you rely on. They have jobs and things too, but sometimes you'll ask for favors and help, right?
Oh, absolutely. My family is wonderful. My mom, yeah, she's still working. You know, she works remotely, but she understands she sold real estate in Toronto in the 80s. So she gets it and she will come over and help me out. Like it's just inevitable, right? There's going to be times after 2 o'clock that I need to be physically present somewhere. So she will come over and hang with the kiddos and I will jet out. So yes, this is not to say this is a one-man show because it is not, or a one-woman show. It is absolutely not. I could not do it without my village. My husband, as Corey mentioned, working second shift, he gets about 4 hours of sleep a night and then wakes up and is with the kids like all morning. So we all make sacrifices in this business, all of us, not just me. You guys do too. And, you know, I think we all have to lean on others for help, whether it's with children or just mental support or whatever it is. Like, you've just got to lean into your tribe.
Yeah. And you know, something that I was thinking about the other day was like how, you know, there's dishes, there's laundry, there's so much to do. Gosh, I got tears in my eyes. I'm thinking about this. But I just realized like you get so connected to your phone and you know, your phone means money, right? It's like, oh
Mm-hmm.
my gosh, this means I have cash coming. So, but I realized like the other day, my boys, there's these cool side note, there's these really cool reusable water balloons. I don't know if anybody's ever
I
heard of.
love them. They're magnetic.
I
They're great.
wish they had them when I was a kid because they're freaking awesome. But they're
Yeah.
like, they've got magnets and you like refill them and then you can throw them at each other. Well, my boys had been having fun with them all day, hours and hours of fun. They're 5 and 3, so highly recommend it if you don't have them for the summertime. But they were outside. It was about 6. It was right after dinner. My husband was home and he started to do the dishes. And I actually got on my phone and sat on my chair and was like, oh my gosh, I got to answer this. And I just caught myself and said, time out, stop. And I started playing with them. And then I was like, oh my gosh, Xander, my husband, Xander, I need you to come outside. He's like, I got to put dishes away. I was like, no, come outside. And he and I had the best time for an hour. Like the boys didn't go to sleep on time and it was awesome. Sacrifice, they were tired the next day. But I was like, oh my gosh, what a freeing feeling. And I have to remember that's like a win. Like that is what you want.
Well, and for your kids, you probably just created like a core memory. Like how
Yeah.
fun for them to have just uninterrupted free time with mom and dad. Good for you. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It always takes work though. It's practice. Like I still catch myself doing it too. Like, and again, it like with or without children, like you still have to have your time where you're not like waiting for this freaking thing to beep at you. So it's like, I mean, I love it. Again, yeah, I love my family. That's how I do my business. That's how we go on trips. But yeah, it takes so much practice. And I find myself having bad weeks where I'm like toting that thing around. I'm like, stop it. Just stop toting this thing around. So you just got to, like a muscle, just train it back into like where you want it to be.
Yeah.
So good. Well, I know we're bumping up against our time here, but I wonder, Kirsten, if you could just share as specifically as you want to, but like, what are some of your goals for this year? Like whether it's a transaction goal or maybe it's like finding that third pillar of your business, like just kind of unpack for us, like some of the goals that you have for yourself this year.
Totally. So yes, a huge one is that third pillar. And so the goal is to bring on a virtual assistant who will do some cold calling for me. I really want to move more heavily into the listing marketplace. I do probably about 25% listings right now, the remainder buyers. So it's that as a big goal. I've got to find the right person, train them. I can't just do what I would love to do, which is you're hired, go be free and please get me some appointments. I've got to do more than that. So that's a big goal. I think otherwise too, personally, we would really like to, and it's real estate related too, really get back to like what brought me into real estate in the first place, which is some personal investments, whether that's building some spec homes or doing some flips or whatever. But those are some 2 big milestones that we'd love to hit this year as a family.
That's so good. And what are things in place right now that are your next steps to get to those goals?
I've got some interview with VA companies coming up to help me hire a VA. I'm working on the job posting, like what do I need this person to do? So I'm just really working out finding the right person right now is like on the books. And then I've been working on what does that role look like very specifically. And then for the personal investment side of it, I would love to tell you that I've got some like what specific like action items going there. I don't. So it's like on the to-do books. I need to just put things on a calendar to make them happen. Because otherwise, unfortunately, if something else that just gets pushed off is not an immediate priority.
Awesome.
That's so great. Thanks for sharing. And then I guess I have one last question. I don't know if you do, Corey, but if you were to give a piece of advice to an agent who, maybe they're doing 2 to 3 million right now, and they want to get to 4 to 6 million. Like, is there 1 or 2 pieces of advice that you would have for that agent?
I would say do more of what's working and do it every single day, and then cut out the fluff. Like, it's so easy to get lost in some of the fluff, and we can say, I'm so busy. Well, you were busy doing transaction coordinator stuff. I'm so guilty in this, and get somebody else to do it so you can do some money making activities. So find what your money making activities are, do more of them, double them. If you're trying to double your production, double your money making activity. If you're prospecting for 1 hour a day, prospect for 2 hours a day, and you'll find that your production doubles.
That's awesome. Well, Kirsten, we really appreciate you being here. Just to wrap us up, can you just give us a quick, because you're really good at this, bullet point list of the highlights of today's show?
Yeah, so run your own race will always be my biggest highlight. Whatever your race is, it's great. You're doing it. You're awesome. And be proud of your race. Second bullet point would be don't be intimidating by starting your business in a new location. You can do it. You have a sphere somewhere, and this is where I went wrong. Like, tap into it, but then also like immediately immerse yourself into your new community. I think my third thing would be know your priorities. Be fine with your priorities, embrace them, love them, and then set realistic expectations for those priorities. And the fourth is just also be thinking about the future, how you want your business to change and move forward. Set some goals for yourself, stick to them, and follow through with them.
What a summary. That's amazing.
Is that okay?
You're such a rock star. I love it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. This was fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Momentum in Real Estate. We hope you found valuable insights and strategies to propel your real estate journey forward.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us continue to deliver content that resonates with you. Remember, success in real estate is about continuous learning, growth, and serving others. Keep that momentum going and watch your business thrive.
Until next time, keep pushing forward and bringing your real estate dreams to life.
This is Corey Wall.
and Kristen James signing off from Momentum in Real Estate.